I'm pretty sure we've all stayed in bed a little longer than planned at some point. Maybe you were sick for the day, or maybe you were just feeling lazy and ended up spending hours reading or doom scrolling or watching YouTube, all from the comfort of your bed. You might have even had snacks and drinks on your nightstand, just in case, to stay hydrated and fueled. After all, who doesn't love lounging in bed, am I right? On average, we spend about 8 hours laying there every day. That adds up to 114 days in bed every year. That's a third of your life. But now, imagine staying in bed for over 10 months straight. No getting up at all. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, on paper maybe. So what if we actually tried it? Do you have a test subject around to try this out? Okay, I think it's safe to say that doing absolutely nothing or almost nothing for 10 months in bed sounds kind of fun, right? But what actually happens when you do that? Will it lead to better sleep, or on the contrary, will your nights become more restless? And how will a test subject's body change in terms of muscles, bones, and overall health? Time to answer in today's big question. Staying in bed for 10 months? What's it like? Here we go, day one, just chilling in bed. Now, if you think you're the first human to voluntarily spend an extended period laying around in bed, think again. Some people have even gotten paid to do it. A few years back, NASA actually recruited volunteers to spend 70 days lying in a bed tilted 6 degrees backwards. The goal was to stimulate the same conditions astronauts experience during long space missions and study how it affects the human body. And get this, they were paid $18,000 just to stay in bed. As for our little experiment, you're probably doing just fine on day one, assuming you found something to keep you busy. Otherwise, there aren't many things to do in bed. And obviously, you're flying solo for this experiment, so no two-person activities allowed. Nothing major to report after one full week in bed, except you're starting to notice some redness and swelling, especially around your joints where your body's in constant contact with the mattress. That's right, you're developing pressure sores, also known as bed sores. So what exactly is a bed sore? Well, let me tell you right now, it's not pretty. Actually, it's downright gross. What happens is, when you're lying down all the time, certain parts of your body, especially around your joints, get squished between your bones and the mattress. Blood has a harder time circulating through those compressed areas, and eventually, that blood flow can stop altogether. When that happens, the tissue in those areas start to break down and eventually dies. You end up with ulcers and, in the worst case scenario, necrosis, which basically means that your flesh starts rotting. But don't panic just yet. For now, it's just a few irritated red patches on your skin. After just a week in bed, you're probably feeling a little bored. You're also starting to feel a bit weak. That's totally normal. Your muscles are already beginning to lose strength. Why? Because you're not using them anymore. To be more specific, you've already lost about a quarter of your muscle strength in 1 week with no muscle use. Yep, muscle is way easier to lose than to gain. 1 month down, and the physical effects of your total lack of activity are really starting to show. With nothing to do, your muscles are weakening even more, and now you've lost around half of your strength. And you're about to see why that's a problem. Now, let's talk about those bed sores. Remember those nasty wounds that started forming after just 1 week? Well, if you don't have a specific anti-bed sore mattress, the kind designed specifically to prevent this, they'll keep developing slowly but surely. The skin cells in those areas begin to die, and yeah, it's not pretty. As those cells die off, they can dig deeper into your skin, all the way down to the bone. But don't worry, we're not quite there yet. Meanwhile, you're getting more and more withdrawn. Not surprising, small talk isn't really your thing these days since you've got pretty much nothing new to say. I mean, you've literally been in bed 24/7. Let's just say that's not the most thrilling lifestyle to share with others. That's exactly what the test subject hired by NASA experienced during those 70 days in bed. Sure, you could tell people you've finally gotten around to catching up on all those Netflix shows, but still. Speaking of beds, do you know what the record is for the longest sleep time ever? Off the top of your head, what would you guess? 5 days? Maybe 10 at most? Well, that just shows how little you know about the human species, because the longest recorded sleep session lasted 118 days. And the record goes to Chiara Contino, a young woman from Belgium. Of course, she didn't sleep 118 days straight, but during that time, she was sleeping up to 23 hours a day. Basically, she only woke up to eat, go to the bathroom, and take a shower. Now, no, Chiara's not lazy. She actually has a rare condition called Klein-11 syndrome, a type of hypersomnia that affects about 2 people out of every million. A half a year has gone by, your little stay in bed is really starting to feel long, and unfortunately, you're not even close to the worst of it. Sure, you can keep yourself busy with books, movies, or video games, but let's be honest, you're starting to miss going outside. Books, games, and DVD cases pile up around you as you start to look more and more fed up. You feel increasingly sluggish every day and even more exhausted than the day before. At this point, just walking is out of the question. Even standing up would take a massive amount of effort and might actually cause you to faint. And right now, that's totally normal considering what's been happening inside your body after 6 months of doing nothing. Your muscles are now officially atrophied and your bones aren't doing much better. See, bones are meant to resist gravity and keep your body from turning into a floppy pile of skin and organs. Oh, wait, now that I'm picturing it, that's actually kind of disturbing. Anyway, since you're no longer upright, your bones aren't supporting your body weight anymore, so they start losing density in calcium, which makes them extremely fragile. So your bones gradually become porous, kind of like a sponge. And honestly, it's not even certain they'd hold you up if you suddenly felt like getting out of bed. Meanwhile, your blood circulation is taking a hit as well. To be more specific, you've now lost over 20% of your total blood volume. Your heart tries to compensate by beating faster. In fact, it speeds up by about 1 beat per minute every 2 days you stay in bed. And since we're talking about blood, let's keep going. Overall, your blood is carrying less oxygen, which, among other things, makes you feel constantly tired. It also starts to thicken, making it easier for blood clots to form in your veins. And here's a fun little detail: you seriously stink. But this time, it's not because you haven't showered, it's because your bed sores are getting much, much worse. The infection is now reaching in the cells of your bones, and yes, it hurts like hell. At this point, you'd need surgery, strong medication, and several months, maybe even a year to recover, assuming you ever manage to get out of bed, and that's still a big if. You've now been in bed for 8 months, and let's just say you're not exactly in peak condition. Being inactive for so long has officially turned you into an insomniac. The lack of sleep and not being able to do anything about it is making you anxious, and you're having more and more panic attacks. Your thoughts are foggy, and trying to have a conversation with you is, well, boring. You've got nothing to talk about because your days are basically empty. Your social life completely dead. Even your main activities, binge watching movies and shows, gaming, reading, are starting to wear thin. At this point, you'd give a kidney just to step outside and get some fresh air. Physically, things aren't looking great either, not even close. Your whole body has weakened. You can't take deep breaths anymore because you've lost a lot of lung capacity. That's right, to really use your lungs to full capacity, you need to be upright, in a sitting position. And well, standing up, that's something you haven't done in a long time. Just like your muscles and bones, your lungs have weakened from the lack of use. At this point, your breathing is short and uneven. You can't even take deep breaths like you used to be able to. It's now been 10 months since you last got out of bed. Overall, your condition is about the same as it was at 8 months, just worse. The only bright side, this whole nightmare is almost over. And since we're on the topic of being stuck in bed, do you know of the man that once stayed in bed for nearly 12 years? That was Emmanuel Uribe, a Mexican man who passed away in 2014. And no, to be clear, he didn't die because of staying in bed too long. The reason why he spent so much time in bed is pretty simple. At one point, Emmanuel was actually known as the heaviest man on earth at the time, weighing nearly 1,320 pounds. And when I say he didn't get out of bed, I mean that quite literally. He was so obese that standing up just wasn't an option anymore. That didn't stop him from getting married though. He tied the knot at his local city hall in 2008. Yep, you heard that right. He went to the city hall in his bed, of course. They transported him in a truck, mattress and all. Now, Emmanuel's bed was custom made so he could at least move around a little. But you've spent nearly a full year lying almost completely still, and trust me, that's not going to come without consequences. And that's it. 10 months have gone by, and let's just say you're not exactly in the same shape you were when you first crawled into bed. Chances are you won't even have the strength to get up, let alone stand or walk. You'll probably faint the moment you try, since your body's completely forgotten how to manage blood circulation when upright. And don't be surprised if you break a few bones in the process. Remember, they're paper thin by now. So what can we take away from this lovely little 10-month nap? Honestly, not much, except maybe you've become a walking encyclopedia of movies, shows, and books, and you're basically a god in your favorite video game. Ironically, what you'll need now is rest and rehab in order to be able to recover from your rest. Either way, it'll take a long time before your body regains even half of what it was capable of before this whole thing started. Don't worry, I've got you back. Watch this. Alright, now you're just showing off. And hey, if you've ever had to stay in bed for days or even weeks, whatever the reason, feel free to share your experience in the comments.